God forbid anyone comes around from the outside should look in here. I'm a state. I'm a goddamn state. Sorry, Mom. Sorry, Dad. But it really gets the point. It's funny because, these... I bet you there's kids watching this in their 20s. Early adults watching this in their 20s. Who are looking at me going, ha ha ha, what a loser. And all that, stigma, right? That comes from shit you don't understand or you haven't experienced. But I might be 53 years old, but I can guarantee you that I have been down on George Street. And I have seen the makings of some seriously troubled lives. Youngsters down there doing cocaine like it's water or a chocolate bar. Running around the street like mad people. Oh, it's a big hoot and hanny when you're young and you're at it for the first time. But let me tell you, fast forward a few decades later, and I am you, and you are me. My name is Daryl. I'm from a small town on the northeast tip of Newfoundland named St. Anthony, Newfoundland, otherwise known locally as Snatney. Central characteristics of being an addict is that you become very focused on yourself and your own need for survival. And I've struggled with it for over 30 years. And it's like a runaway train, or if you've ever seen that movie Snowpiercer, that's addiction at its worst. It makes your world very small and creates a lot of loneliness and creates a lot of dependency on other people in order to live your life. Cocaine, I would call that my primary drug, the one that bit me and caught me, and certainly the one that has been the most destructive in my life. How wonderful it is to know that you can wake up if you're in trouble and you have no food in your cupboards. I mean, I have food in my cupboards, but it's so nice to wake up and know that you're in a town that actually thinks about you if you're suffering. From my experience at having known so many people through the decades, if your first experience with cocaine is that it's giving you something that nothing else ever gave you, you're already in trouble. Being gay in the community I grew up in, St. Anthony, was not a cool thing. I did not hear one message that said to me, the essence of who you are is okay. And being able to allow that side of myself to come out in front of people was definitely a part of my character. And I could not do that because I would risk my identity being blown. If you can think of addiction as almost an entity, okay, or as a person, it looks for something inside the person it's targeting that is weak. It looks for your weakest point, and that is what it will play on. And my weakest point was being worried about what people thought of me. I originally moved to Halifax from St. John's in '91 because I just wanted to get the hell out of St. John's. Started doing a business degree at St. Mary's. I gotta say, I really, really loved it. Had some great professors. And then suddenly, out of the blue, I met this phenomenal drag queen named Chuck Gillis. His drag name was Lulu LaRude, and he was incredible. And he somehow convinced me that I had the talent to produce a show to raise money for the AIDS Coalition of Nova Scotia. And I immediately fell in love with it. I think more so because his personality was so big. And he knew just how to blow smoke up your bum and get you wrapped up in something. So I just asked my prof about it, and she said, go for it. If it's moving you and you think you can do it, just do it. I just knew that there was business there and that we had the talent to do it, so we went for it. Within a year, we became the go-to decor company in Halifax, and everybody wanted us to design their events. There were so many that we couldn't even do them all. But it required so much energy, so much steam, and of course, the whole time I was using. And the more money I made, the more I used, of course. At some point, I think I just reached critical mass, and I realized that the amount of energy it took to do those events, I could not provide anymore because I was too wrapped up in my addiction, and the addiction was taking all my energy.
It's gonna be interesting.
Let's go. When I left St. John's 32 years ago, cocaine was very low key. I come back to St. John's 32 years later, and it is everywhere. Woo! I've never seen so many dealers in all my life as what there are in St. John's, but I think it's a symptom of how much struggle there is in society as well, right? It's the pressure of money and the need for money to survive has become so great that is a huge, huge pressure on people. Enter cocaine, and all that becomes very different. And the drug starts telling you from that massive dopamine rush that you get, that's how you buoy yourself up. What Thrive does is, among other types of supports, they provide clean using equipment for people who are engaged in active addiction. So they will give you clean needles and cooking kits. They will give you clean crack pipes, and there's various, paraphernalia that people use. So what I've done is pick up kits. So these kits have these little using kits, which has a cooking saucer, and a filter, so you can extract the drug through a filter, so you don't get any lumps or anything in the needle. It will also have sterilized water, and it will also have a package of needles, and it'll also have a tie strap, which you put around whatever limb you want to plump the vein up so you don't miss it. If you don't provide clean needles to people who use intravenously, the likelihood of them using dirty needles and risking serious health repercussions becomes a cost that balloons very quickly. So You take both costs, one being that you might be enabling, the other one being that you have to spend $50,000 in healthcare because of you needed a healthcare intervention. The person got an infection. That happened to me. So I see it as harm reduction, and I know that people in the field see it that way as well. Hello. Drugs does allow me to run away and hide from being accountable and facing the truth.
God, I'd love to play guitar.
But it's temporary, and it only exists for as long as I'm high. So when that high starts to dissipate, what do? I look for more ways to stay high, because that is my protective shell.
What was the bet, David? What a dump!
What? This is irritating as fuck.
I want a dealer! Oh, and they think they're so goddamn cosmopolitan here. What kind of town can't get cocaine at 11:09 a.m.? Jesus.
It is most certainly not easy to be a using addict.
Sean, get your goddamn thinking cap on, my son. Fuck, you're an expensive drunk.
Especially once I've reached the point where I need to use every day to feel normal. That is not an easy thing. It takes a lot of hard work, and indeed, you probably spend 80% or 90% of the day getting and using and finding ways and means to get more. It's a full-time job.
Okay, you know what? We're going to take a try for Kijiji Road. If it doesn't work out, I'm going to give up on it.
God damn it. You locked yourself out, eh?
What?
You have to sort of look at a person who's addicted and say, okay, there's the addict and there's the real person that I know and love. And when that addict is alive and a going concern, which is generally when I'm high, it is a completely different person, and all it wants to do is make an excuse for me to use, okay? And that's where the rationalization comes in, is I will think from any angle, my addiction will think, how can I make this person continue to use? That's all that's on its mind.
Fuck.
I'm not trying to downplay the danger of being in addiction in St. John's or any part of Newfoundland, but in Newfoundland, I think the chances of getting shot over a $50 bill to a drug dealer are much less. In Halifax, for example, it is not out of the question to be hauled in the woods and chained to a tree and Rottweilers set on you to tear you apart for owing money. Perfect example, using with 5 people on Gottingen Street in Halifax, smoking crack for hours. One of them is a dealer who sells it in order to be able to use, so he's already messed up. Had a knife on him and twice jumped up and was going to stab me for really no reason at all, except I think what I did ask for a free blast because I had run out of money. A blast is a puff. And because he's, crazed and on crack himself, he jumps up twice in the run of an hour to lunge at me and stab me, and the people that we were with stopped him. The second time that he jumped up and ran at me, I left. And someone called me the next morning around 9 o'clock and said, you remember that girl that was sitting on the couch with him? Well, she overdosed and died about an hour after you left. And they sat there next to her dead body all night and smoked crack till about 8 o'clock in the morning when they finally called the ambulance and the police and ran from the scene so that, you know, the emergency services came and found her alone, dead. And that in itself should be shocking enough and visceral enough to send me flying from using, but that is the absolute insanity of addiction. I was well in the frame of mind that I needed something in order to cope with life and to cope with the various issues that I have inside me emotionally. But I stopped growing emotionally, so I was inherently stuck as a child or a teenager. And that in itself creates a separation between me and my peers, right? Because normal people don't necessarily get stuck there, right? You continue to mature, you make mistakes, you learn from them. But an addict sort of gets stuck in that I'm a child and I depend on people for survival.
Same thing for me and you, we'll split it.
Split it?
Exactly.
What do you think it is? A fucking like tandem load of Caitlin?
So let me go.
There's no shots there. No shots
We're
happening.
not smoking that.
Oh yeah, we are.
No, we ain't.
Yeah, we are.
Daryl, I promise you we're not smoking it.
Yeah, we are. We're smoking it.
Daryl.
And listen, if you push me, I'll fucking freak out, okay? Because I am so fucking
Daryl,
pissed off after all I
We can't
spent
smoke that.
with you tonight. Look at
We can't
that.
smoke that, Daryl.
Can't believe you think that's a fucking point. Get.
Fuck, asshole.
I'm an asshole.
No, you fucking did that. Don't. Let's smoke
Get.
it. You're not putting fucking. Cook it then.
Pinch of soda,
Fucking.
a bit of cocaine, and a tiny bit of water.
You're gonna have me scraping that off the fucking spoon like you did last night, you fuck.
Holy fuck, bye. Extracting the cocaine. When you put the heat back to it, it'll start falling down from the sides into a liquid, and that's when the cocaine goes out and extracts in. It's gonna be a very small toke, buddy.
No shit.
Oh, ye of little faith. Now, see, look at all that over a fucking drug, over using a drug. The things I hate about being a fucking addict.
There's only one little slice of the day, and that's when you're high, that you feel normal. And I mean, what a terrible, terrible feeling to spend the day in search of something that you just can't get. And then finally you get it, and the reward is so brief and so tenuous that it just doesn't make sense that you spend that much of the day looking for it. But that is addiction.
Now you're gonna get high. Get lifted. Get high.
Disappointing.
You're high now.
To the last drop. No, I'm not. I'm really pissed off. That's one thing I fucking hate. Hate about being an addict is the number of people that rip you off. And it's just like they never ever pay you back. Just do it like it's okay.
I'm fried. I've been up 48 hours, I guess. Anyway, what happened? Money. Trigger. Yeah, this is the point during the big tear that if you're really fucking stupid, you really fucked up. But anyway, blah, blah, blah. Mostly missed. I'm not very good at it. See that lump? That's a miss. Which I pretty much almost always do. Oh, I don't even want to count the number of cigarettes I smoked last night. Well, CERB checks, pretty much any, addict applied for them, got them. They were all out in droves this morning. Droves. The drug dealers got real rich, They tripled their product costs when CERB started. And so like, I don't go through the big hating myself thing because I can't really afford to do that so much. I mean, I do. I do. Obviously, I hate myself if I'm a coke addict. But yeah, it's just the continuous, non-stop surf. I'm going to have a large black dark roast with 2.5 sugar. My night was spent in slumber. I slept 14 hours after a stupid rip. I don't know what it's like for other people, but when I wake up, I'm in active addiction. Every time I wake up after using, all this stuff starts to stir around in my head about the misery of it, the loneliness of it, the wretchedness of it, and that feeling like you're just a slave, which, I am. You're a slave to the drugs. And I can't stand it. And for people looking at it, who are trying to figure it out, they, of course, don't see the tear, and they're not privy to the feelings that are going on in your heart and your mind and your soul. So they think they equate it to what they experience, I guess. You get high, you get drunk, it's a wonderful time, but it's not like that for an addict. It is not like that. So they always ask the question, well, why the fuck do you do it? You do it because you're a slave to it. It's not, it is a necessary thing in your mind. And when I say in your mind, I mean in your brain. Your brain actually thinks that you need to do this to be normal. And once you're high, then yes, you're back in your normal. You're what you can deal with. But it's just absolute fucking misery. It's misery. And at my age, it's real misery. Yeah, I think in the spirit of who we are as Newfoundlanders, or who we've been down through the centuries, they really have made some great strides in taking care of people who live on the margins of society. So we're not just talking about addicts, right? We're talking about people with mental health illness. We're talking about poor people. We're talking about people without proper housing. People who just struggle, man. And yeah, I find the resources here are here, but the addict has to be willing, or the person who's suffering has to be willing to take those steps toward it. When I wouldn't go downtown for love nor money after being on a rip for days, because I was too concerned about what I looked like. Now I don't give a fuck. I don't give a shit what people think. I need an eye lift. I need an eyebrow lift. I wasn't thinking about anything. Just trying not to think about anything. It's this place I always come after using a lot, and I wake up someday and everything is flatlined. It's like no pulse. Everything's emptiness. So I'll just go back to bed and say to myself, maybe I'll call detox. Maybe.